So I know that solid hidden hideout guides exist out there already. I'll link the ones I like in the description if you guys want to see something different from my own, or those guides might touch on things that I won't cover as much here. I want this guide to stand out though, and I'll try pointing out some things that those other guides don't have. The point of this guide is to make you a better player inside of Hidden Hideout. I'll touch on recommended stats, how to unlock the raid, and everything else, but knowing Hidden Hideout's mechanics is imperative to succeeding in this raid. You could have the best stats and still die inside Hidden Hideout because the boss has a lot of moves that'll insta-kill you. I'll put timestamps in the description as always so you guys can skip to a part you need. Anywho, let's get started. This will be taken from my event video, so feel free to skip this part if you've seen it already. Side note though, you can enter Hidden Hideout 10 times on the weekend, so if you missed a couple of days during the week but still bought the tickets, you can run them during the weekends. In order to access it, you'll need to be level 65 and the quest chain starts with Aaron and Diffuse Horizon. It'll have you run 6 districts in total inside DH, all on the Manic difficulty. You have to buy an item from Jeeves for the last step that'll cost you 3 million DZ and craft an item, and after that, Hidden Hideout will unlock for you. Just be sure to buy the entry tickets from the Lescas so that you can get into the raid. You're limited to 5 entries per day, so make the most of it. A lot of different Hidden Hideout parties list their own stat requirements. This is very opinionated, so I can only give you mine. Having stats like these will get you into most Hidden Hideout parties just as long as they aren't overly picky. Full AoV gear and accessories, or Diffuse Horizon accessories if you can go without the accuracy from the AoV gear. Try to +9 the shoulder guards and everything else should be at least +6. AoV weapon +8 at the bare minimum, but it's better to have +9. 2 level 9 soulstones in the weapon, and a 3rd soulstone of a different element also level 9. I have slumbering ones, but if you don't have those, just normal level 9 soulstones work too. 1750 accuracy. The accuracy cap for Hidden Hideout is 1810, so you don't have to build above 1810. You can still build above this if you'd like if you want more crit percent. 50% crit, although you must be running Leona or Shade if your crit is this low. Build higher if you can, or heck, put that you're running either Leona or Shade in your profile message. It might be chances in getting in, maybe? If you need help trying to build these stats, check what tiles or brooches you could use to boost what you need. Some popular tiles are Speedy Racer or Wondrous. It's not necessary, but if you'd like to do even more damage, you can stick boss damage drives in your armor. Oh, and if you're still stumped, why don't you join my Discord? We got pros on it to answer all your questions, link is in the description, please join. Anyway, back to the recommendations. You can't take Active Akasha into this raid. As far as passives go, you'll need Megadon's Rage Mark II because you'll be dodging a lot unless you're some type of Saint speedrunner or something. If you have Shiho, use her because she's extremely useful. Activating your Soul Nova will help you negate a lot of the boss's hard-hitting moves. I mentioned this earlier, but you could use either Leona or Shade if you need more crit rate. Other than that, bring your best DPS cards. Now we're at the meat and potatoes of this guide. Learning the raid is the hardest part for a lot of people who are new to Hidden Hideout, so we're going to break down every single move no matter how minor it is. He's got Rake Slam, Jump Rake Slam, Red Lightning Slam, Summon PP Balls, Actual Slam Jam, the Black Plague, Social Distancing the move, Sephiroth's Meteor, Beyblade, Supersonic, and Core Phase. Alright, so starting off with Rake Slam, he slams his axe scythe thing? I don't know what it's supposed to be, but whatever. He slams his weapon down on you, and if you get hit, it sends you flying upward. This interrupts any skill cast too, aside from the level 42 skill. This can be easily avoided with Evade, and you can see it coming from a mile away. Not that dangerous. Jump Rake Slam is the exact same as Rake Slam except he, well, jumps. He often does this as a gap closer when no one is near him. Still not very dangerous and pretty easy to avoid. Red Lightning Slam interrupts your movement similar to how a Rake Slam does, except it has a larger range than his Rake Slam. You can still avoid this with an evade though, heck sometimes it doesn't even aim it correctly. It doesn't do a lot of damage and you can telegraph this move easily too. I'm sure that you guys noticed that a lot of his attacks that I've listed so far are some of these yellow balls that hone in on you to do damage. This raid boss, I'm not even gonna attempt to say his name, decided to take this to the next level with his summon PP balls move. He slams the ground 4 times, and with each slam he summons more PP balls. The balls aren't as bad as the slams, and they have short range, so this is basically free damage. If you're playing as Jin, have a field day because you can counter those slams. That's it for his basic moves. Now we're going to cover the major moves, which are what most players really struggle with. All of the major moves have him say a specific piece of dialogue, and he will say this every time he does the move. For his slam jam, he screams something like, "Bear witness his tremendous power, yada yada yada." He slams the ground 4 times in a rhythm with the last hit being offbeat. Getting hit almost always guarantees a death, and this move goes through the level 42 skill iframes. You can avoid it by timing your jumps, or by flying, which is what you guys are seeing me do here. All characters can fly in the game by using the aerial attack, dodging, and repeating the process over and over. Some characters have skills that can keep them in the air. In my case, Irwin's right click keeps him suspended in the air longer. Choose which method is easier for you to dodge with. Sometimes the boss can get cheesy kills on you with this move if you're next to a snail minion while you're jumping, so I'd say just try your best to stay in the air away from them. For the Black Plague, he calls you a worm or tries to exterminate you. This move is fairly easy to dodge. Just run to the blue circles and you'll be protected from the continuous damage. You'll receive a buff called Death to Fire. Note that you only have to stand in the circle once to receive this buff, so if you step out of it too early, you still won't take damage. Just be sure to run to the next one quick though. The boss is immune to all damage during this move, so don't bother attacking him. Sometimes the snail minions will get in the way when you're running. You can try to evade through them first, especially if you don't have ecstasy brooches. If that's not working, killing them when you have an opening works just fine too. You thought you had to practice social distancing in real life? Now you have to do it in Slow Worker too. The boss teleports you away, and now you and your allies will take continuous damage if you're staying too close to one another. Heck, the totems you see are also contagious because if you get too close, you'll get a status ailment. The red one causes burning damage. The green one saps your SF and stamina down to 0. And the blue ones freeze you in place. Sometimes the boss likes to teleport you right on top of a totem or summon one right next to you, so you can't do anything about it. Yay, fun! For this next one, he turns into a Sephiroth wannabe and tries to return you to the promised land. If you get hit by this meteor, that's an instant death. You can avoid it by either popping a Soul Nova if you have Shiho, or you can hide behind one of the tombstones that randomly spawn throughout the fight. The tombstones are marked with an orange icon on the minimap if you're having trouble finding them. The proper hide point behind the tombstones is super finicky. You have to be right in the middle and touching the tombstone for it to count. I've heard that jumping helps too, since it reminds the game where your proper position is. I did that a few times here just to be safe. These tombstones also get constantly destroyed by either the boss himself or the minions, so be sure to monitor the location of them at all times. He doesn't start using his Beyblade move until he has 80 bars of HP left or less. He summons clones of himself, then they all Beyblade spin towards you or any tombstones that are standing around. You can avoid this with your level 42 skill since you take no damage while using it. For the Jin players out there, you can counter this skill. If you have none of those options, just running away works. I call this one the Supersonic because the clones move so fast that you can barely react to them properly. He only uses his move when his HP is at 80 bars or less. For Supersonic, I literally just spam dodge to get around these, or if I feel ultra unsafe, I'll use my Supernova if I have it. There are 2 safe spots on the map, and you can stand in either one of them and be relatively untouchable, but 9 times out of 10, he'll be in the middle of the area and it's incredibly hard to react fast enough. Spam dodging is your best friend here. And lastly, the core phase, the bane of everyone's existence. It's truly not as bad just as long as you know the illegal skills, but anywho, the boss gives himself a huge defensive buff and a portal opens at the altar. Only one person can go inside the portal. If you're playing with friends or heck even randoms, you may want to assign who's going inside the core before the fight so all of you guys aren't trying to rush into the core at the same time. The person that's inside the core has to push balls into the crystal to destroy it, and that gets rid of the defensive buff the boss has. The balls spawn when the other 3 players outside of the core kill the snail minions, but the balls still spawn during solo play, so I don't know, whatever. The boss does this core phase move when his HP reaches 80 bars, 50 bars, and 20 bars. If you guys want to see character-specific techniques on how to push the balls into the core faster, check out Zero's guide on that. I will link it in the description. Note that I don't recommend putting points into Iris' Eternal Abyss skill just to bring the balls closer to the core. As far as the illegal moves go, they depend on the character, and the list I'm showing you is what we have on the GF version currently. They change depending on how much HP the boss has left. For now, it's Jin's counter skill as one of his illegal moves, but it might be changed to his Soul Strike in future updates since the KR server is like that. I'm unsure if we'll get this update anytime soon, but it's something to keep in mind if we ever do get it in the end. When you use an illegal skill while the boss has the defense buff, you'll freeze your whole party for a few seconds. This can be devastating, and it can wipe your entire party depending on what move the boss is using. Alright, so for the gear itself, you'll want to build the extended armor set over the standard one because it has better potential stat rolls than the standard one. I'll throw up an image of all possible rolls that you can get from this set. For the armor, you're going to want to roll crit percent, crit damage, and shorter cooldown. On the weapon, you'll want armor break, boss damage, and crit damage. Crit percent is also not that bad if you need more crit. On the pendant, in my opinion at least, cooldown reduction, attack speed, and max stamina are good rolls to go after. On the earrings, it's the same as the pendant except you swap the cooldown reduction for movement speed. On the rings, you'd want crit percent, crit damage, attack, and evasion for provoke procs. You could also get accuracy instead of evasion depending on what you need more of. Both of those stats are good picks. You also can't store the hidden hideout weapon in the bank. You can store the armor, accessories, and materials just fine though. You can use pet and medi cubes and terror kits at the same time. They're on different cooldown timers. Using them in the hidden hideout is super nice since this boss hits like a truck. You can buy terror kits from Yumi. If you are the person running core phase, it's nice to type that you're done killing the core when you finish it. Sometimes other players don't see that the boss loses the defense buff when you finish the core phase. If you are having trouble telegraphing the boss's moves that have dialogue pop up, use auditory cues rather than visual ones. He says the same line every time he uses a specific attack. I do this trick myself, it reduces the amount of time you spend reading the dialogue. Sometimes when the boss enters core phase mode while he's in the middle of doing a move that has dialogue, the core phase dialogue overwrites the move he was using. He still does the original move though, so be very careful when he does this. If you're running hidden hideout with friends that die a lot, you can actually farm team respawners and hearts by riding Nael's helicopter to boost her VIP through alt farming. If you are that friend that dies a lot and you don't want to bring your team down, I actually recommend for you to do solo runs so you learn the boss's patterns. Sure, you probably can't finish the raid solo, but actually learning how to avoid all of the boss's moves correctly will put less stress on yourself and your team in the long run. As I've said before, knowing the mechanics of this boss is more important than your stats. This was a long guide, but I really hope it helped you guys. May the RNG gods bless you with good drops, and see y'all around! I'll leave you guys with the full playthrough of a hidden hideout run with a team of geared players.
Hmm.